Marissa Meyer, who's the author of Cinder and Scarlet, books 1 and 2 in the Lunar Chronicles, and I'm going to be asking her a couple questions. Yay! Are there any other fairy tales besides Cinderella, Little Red Riding Hood, what are the other two? Rapunzel and Snow White that you thought about using and didn't wind up including in your books?
Yes, actually the catalyst for the whole idea behind the Lunar Chronicles was a fan fiction that I wrote, you know, because you used to write my fan fiction, that was based on Puss in Boots. Mm-hmm. And so when I first thought, okay, that was a lot of fun to write, now I'm going to try to write a whole series of futuristic fairy tales, my plan was to expand that original Puss in Boots story, and that was going to be the 5th book of the Chronicles. Okay. But then as I started kind of plotting them out and figuring how all the stories were going to interlink, pretty soon that story just wasn't working anymore.
Okay. Well, I missed Luna version, what was it, 4.2?
4.2, yeah.
I had a Lunar Chronicles boyfriend. Pretend you're not in the room, I guess. You had a Lunar Chronicles boyfriend.
Is over there.
Which boy would you choose?
Oh, I love them all.
For favorite.
Varying reasons. But I think probably my favorite is Captain Thorn.
It's mine too.
Oh, good.
Don't tell JoJo.
No, JoJo, my beta reader, like wants to fight everybody who tries to like claim to him. But yeah, he's just so funny and amusing, and I like funny guys, like my husband.
Yeah, he was very well written. He's my favorite.
Thank you.
Which character do you think that you are the most like?
Definitely Cress, who is my Rapunzel character, because she, you know, she's been stuck in this satellite half of her life, and so she's had to entertain herself, you know, through reading and movies and things, and so she kind of has this crazy overactive imagination, and she's really good at amusing herself, which is like me, and I think most writers kind of fit into that paradigm. And on top of that, you know, she's a little naive about the ways of the world, and she's a total optimist, and I think those are things that could probably be applied to me too.
Okay. Was there a particular point of view or even a scene that was a little harder for you to write than others?
Yeah, pretty much any like super dark, sad and or violent scene can be hard for me, because I think to do them right, you really have to find a way to put yourself into that moment in the character's head, and who wants to do that? Like, it's hard to write sad, awful things. And there was one scene in particular toward the end of Scarlet that the first time I wrote it, I was a crying mess, and it was so hard to write. And then I sent it to my 3 awesome beta readers, and they were like, this is like the hardest thing we've ever had to read. Is it a little overboard? And then we ended up kind of pulling back on that scene and making it not nearly as awful as it was in the earlier drafts. So I kind of feel like I put me and my beta readers through that for no reason, but I think I had to go there in order to find where the line was.
Right. Well, I'm sure your readers appreciate not having that emotional torture. I think I read in an interview that you weren't originally going to include Kai's point of view in Scarlet. Is that true?
Yeah, in the actually kind of the original plan for the story, you wouldn't have seen Queen Lavanna at all until the 4th book of the series. And because all of Kai's scenes pretty much relate directly to the political happenings that are going on between Kai and Queen Lavanna, without her in the story, there was no real need to include his points of view. But of course that's no longer the case, and so now we get to see Queen Lavanna and Kai and them kind of facing, I know, me too, and I love every scene with Kai, and I love writing from his point of view, so it worked out well.
Yes, for all of us. This isn't Lunar Chronicles related. Who's your favorite Sailor Scout?
Jupiter, definitely Jupiter, because what I love about Jupiter is that on one hand she's like totally like tough and awesome, and like I'm not gonna put up with any crap from anybody, But then you get to know her, and she's like a big fangirl, and she just wants to find somebody who loves her, and she likes to cook, and she has this like super soft, gooey inside,
she does.
and I loved that about her.
If you're not a Sailor Moon fan, you really should be.
You should be.
Do you ever think that someday, maybe when you're finished writing the Lunar Chronicles series, that you'll read some of the fan fiction for it, or do you think you'll just stay away?
I have no idea. I think maybe someday it could happen. But yeah, I won't. I try not to go anywhere near it now while I'm writing the story. I don't want anything to influence what I have planned. But I love knowing that it's out there. That's like my favorite thing in the world.
You can answer either, how often does Kai think about Cinder, or does Kai think about Cinder in the shower?
This is on Twitter, wasn't it?
I figured I'd give you a way out.
I'm not sure either one. Well, yes, of course, Kai thinks about Cinder, period.
Yes.
Where and in what regard, I'm happy to leave that up to readers' imaginations. But I would say he thinks about her very frequently, in part just because he had feelings for her, but in part also because she's kind of causing him a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Did you ever consider any other titles or names for main characters besides what they wound up being in final drafts?
Yes, Cress is short for Crescent, and that remains true. Her full name is Crescent, and so originally that was going to be the name of the book, but then I changed it to Cress to better mimic Rapunzel, because Rapunzel and Cress are both types of lettuce. And then Princess Winter was originally named Ebony, because Snow White had, white skin and ebony hair and red lips. But then that wasn't working anymore, so eventually she became Winter.
Okay. Well, that is my last question, and thank you so much. Thank you. That was my first video interview.
Yay!